What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Unleashed. I'm Levi, I'm your host. We also have Adam and Mark Wavis in the room with me. And today, our special guest, we have the Tom White. Thank you for being here, Mr. White.
Hey, man, I'm glad I could be your last choice.
Okay, yeah. Well, right off the bat, we got to talk to some people about their impact on you. What's wrong with that?
I used to work with his wife in Newton County, and I watched her have their two children, and she used to talk about them all the time and working as a DJ. I really love watching the way that he works with the kids and on the recording in the news. I think that it's a lot of fun to have somebody in our building that's able to take his skills and talents and turn it around and teach them.
How do you know Mr. White?
Mr. White started dating my best friend when I was about 19 years old, and that was 23 years ago, I think, if I've done the math correctly. So I've known Tom for a really long time. I don't know. That's a lot of memories. I'm having a hard time coming up with something that's like a favorite memory, but something popped up on Facebook yesterday that made me laugh. And Mr. White brought his whole family to our pancake breakfast for Beauty and the Beast last year. The problem is Mr. White didn't look at the dates for the pancake breakfast. So his entire family got drugged to Morgan County High School at like 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and nobody was here. And I have the funniest picture on Facebook of him and the whole family just kind of looking crazy into the camera at the school with a completely empty school and no breakfast.
So Mr. White and I were introduced to each other right when Dr. Edwards was hired, and she was building the Career Academy, and she wanted to really give students an opportunity to figure out what they wanted to do in life and to get some career opportunities before they went off to college. And so she was talking about the AV program, and she wanted to build it, and I didn't know anything about AV, and so she asked me to begin building the program. So I started learning some things, and she introduced me to Mr. White, and he helped me. He taught from afar while I was here on campus, and so he did it virtually, and that's how I got to know him originally. Favorite memory of Mr. White? Oh, I have lots of them. He makes me laugh all the time, and he's a great coworker, a great colleague, and is constantly supporting the students and the teachers and the programs in general, especially sports. But my favorite probably memory is one day he was still working virtually, and I was trying to learn all this AV stuff, and Dr. Edwards was like, hey, we need to stream graduation because it was raining and we were not going to be able to have it outside. We're going to have it in the gym. And so he's trying to show me over the phone how to do all of this stuff in live streaming graduation, and you can imagine the pressure, and the system keeps going out, and he's trying to help me virtually, and I'm panicked and going crazy, and he's able to walk me through trying to get it back up as people are complaining because they're missing graduation. It was a very stressful situation, but he walked me through it. He did a great job, and at that point I was very thankful that he was hired the next year because I'm never doing that again.
Maybe for the next podcast, I won't say their impact on you. I realize that now. It was your impact on them. But
Oh, no, trust me. Those three have had a big impact on me, and it was very scary when you guys were like, hey, we're going to go talk to them about you, especially Miss Rose, because it's been like 26 years, and it's, there's a lot of stuff there.
Oh, man. So, right off the bat, Mr. White, it's, you've mentioned to a couple people that you have your own podcast. What's the name of your podcast, and what's it about, really?
My podcast is called Teaching to the Test Pattern, and it's targeted to teachers who teach video production on the broadcast side. There's tons and tons of content on how to teach students how to make film, but the production side, the switching of cameras, the running audio, basically what we're doing now, there's nothing for that. So I kind of found a lane to run in there, and I'm very embarrassed that I haven't cut an episode in a while. So I guess now I have to cut at least one to get to make it seem relevant for our show today.
So when did you start it exactly?
The podcast I started a year ago. I've written for school websites for years, for training websites for years, and it's cool. I love writing, but I realized that I was listening to a lot more podcasts than I was reading because I was in my car a lot. So finding a way to hit teachers where they are in a way that, that they can learn and they can use the experience and my failures in a classroom to prevent those for them. So that's where the podcast started almost exactly a year ago.
So what exactly made you want to start it? And why do you keep doing it?
Frustration. I could go and get content, like I said, for film production all day long, but there was nothing for broadcast production. And talking to a lot of teachers, I work with the state to do the professional development for the video teachers, and there's just not a lot out there. So that's what caused me to start it. I've been teaching 10 years, and I've had a couple of pretty successful programs. So I think that gives me the ability to speak to it, but I keep doing it because those teachers still have questions. I still get those questions and try to answer them to the best of my ability.
And you also, speaking of podcasts, you also have worked for radio. Is that right?
Yeah, I did a 13-year bid in radio when I was in college. I was lucky to get in at the time that I did and have the opportunities that I did, but that's what I did prior to teaching.
How many stations have you worked for when it comes to radio?
Man, I was blessed. I worked for what is now iHeartRadio. I came into them when they were Clear Channel Radio, and they were buying up stations left and right. And I started in 1999 as a part-timer. And at the time, I was in North Carolina, and I worked in the Winston-Salem market and the Greensboro market. And between those two, we had 6 signals. And then in 2006, I moved to Atlanta, and I worked here, and we had 6 signals as well. So I've had 2 markets and 12 signals, but about 25 radio stations proper that I worked for in that time.
It's a good chunk.
Yeah.
What did you enjoy the most through your time, being involved with radio?
I hate this. I hate being in front of the camera. That's not what I enjoy doing. And I always enjoyed seeing the end product. When I was in Atlanta, I would go backstage at Lakewood, and I didn't care about the artists, whatever. But I always liked looking through the door and just seeing that amphitheater filled with people. That's my favorite part. I mean, it really was. The experiences, the things that we got to do. I mean, we got to do some stuff that's just stupid. And one day, my assistant and I were walking in. It was a Sunday. It was a 311 and Snoop concert, and we pulled in the back where the employees park. We parked. We got out. We were walking. We're talking. We go by the security guy. We talk to him. Talk to his kid. We're walking down the hill, and I go to put my hand on the door. And I realized that the entire time we were on that conversation, we were complaining. It was a Sunday. We didn't really want to be there. It was summer. It was hot, whatever. I put my hand on my door, and I realized I'm literally 25 feet from what people paid hundreds of dollars to come and see and would pay thousands to get that opportunity. And I've complained about it the whole way. When I realized that, I realized what my true favorite part of that was the ability to go and do those things that people dreamt about. So that was my favorite part.
So what exactly made you swap from radio to teaching?
I had an assistant at the time who called it career suicide. On paper, it was really stupid, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I had my children, TJ and Lila, were 5 and 7 at the time, and I hadn't spent a lot of time with them in their childhood. I did my best to be a good father, but I was gone a lot. And that was the main reason. I got into education primarily to get out of radio. I had zero intentions of becoming a teacher. I just took a job. It was a part-time job. I was like, well, I'll do my freelance thing and build that up and figure out what I wanted to do next. So, but what I wanted to do next obviously became teaching, and I didn't know it at the time.
So, speaking of teaching, and what is TIEGA like? What is that? Really?
TIGA is the Trade and Industrial Educators of Georgia, and what that is obviously video production. It's graphic design. It's automotive construction and heating and air, and it's a group that supports the teachers, advocates for the teachers. It's a part of one of the things you'll learn about education and really any job as you get older is there's abbreviations for everything. So TIEGA, T-I-E-G-A, is our subset of GACTE, G-A-C-T-E, which is the Georgia Association of Career Tech Educators, which is the subset of ACTE, which is the Association of Career Tech Educators. So they work to represent us, at state legislatures and, on boards of education and that kind of stuff. And I recently took a role as vice president of TIEGA and to help with, that, especially on the video production side.
So you said you're vice president of TIEGA. What exactly, do you do any, certain things when it comes, to your position?
Basically advocate for the video teachers in the state. That's my biggest goal and role. We plan conferences. So we have the winter conference coming up in a couple of weeks, and I booked all of the guests for that to speak to the video teachers and just make sure that we're represented well at the state level.
So, Mr. White, do you enjoy teaching, audiovisual text, school news, digital media?
Dude, I could go do anything else I wanted. My degree was in medicine. I left a successful radio career, but I cannot imagine doing anything different than I'm doing now. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. I was here last night till 7 o'clock meeting and having, conversations about teaching, and then I went home and watched TV for a little while, but then got up this morning, 4 o'clock, and started reading. And that's kind of, I love it. I love every part of it. I'm blessed in what I get to do. My wife's an English teacher. And as an English teacher, I saw that, and still see, that it takes weeks sometimes for you to see any growth. Whereas with you guys, I can send you out one time and go, man, that was terrible. Here's what's wrong. The next day, you have another opportunity to go fix it. So,
right.
Dude, I'm super blessed to get to do what I do.
So, also, Mr. White, you won Best National Program of 2016 and Best New National Program of 2018. What was it like winning those two awards?
2016 was interesting. That was it was a good year, but a tough year for me. We had launched what was called the Sports Broadcast Institute the year before, and it was when I was in Rockdale, and it was different than here. So imagine if there were 3 Morgan County high schools and then another school. I was at the other school, and students from Rockdale, Heritage, and Salem would come to me. So in launching the Sports Broadcast Institute, we focused obviously on sports, and having 3 schools, we had a lot. And I'll never forget the day that I got the call. I had messed up and wrote the time down for when the ceremony was. It was a virtual ceremony before virtual was the thing. And I was sitting at my desk, and I literally just thought, something's got to give, man. I'm worn out. This sucks.
Right.
And I got a phone call. Hey, man, congratulations. I'm like, on what? They're like, well, you didn't watch? I was like, no, it doesn't start till 5. They're like, no, it started at 2. And I was like, oh. So it was super cool. And then, coming here, my first year here, getting Best New Program, that was awesome. There was a ton of work in launching the new program. That we joked that we had 3 first days that year. We had the first day in the old building, first day in the new building, and first day in the middle of the semester. And that was a big transition year for me. And it was interesting. It was tough, but it was pretty cool to put that little trophy in the trophy case.
Right. So, Mr. White, you have years of experience with things like, Adobe Premiere Pro and Photoshop. How do you, implement those types of things into the classroom?
I try to figure out what makes you guys want to do them. I show you, hey, here's what we're going to do. I show you a hype video, or I show you a news package or something like that, and then kind of sprinkle the ways to get to it. So right now, my first-year students are learning stand-ups and interviews. Well, right now, they don't know that eventually that's going to go together and make a news package. So I try to sprinkle the pieces together, break it down to its smallest cell. So, in biology, I'm looking at the cellular level going, okay, what is the first step? How to set up a camera. And that's how I progress until, you get to second and third year when I go, all right, we need to do something. What are we going to do? And you guys say, let's do a podcast.
Well, and here we are.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was my worst nightmare and greatest gift at the same time, because I was like, oh, this is going to be a lot of work. They don't understand what it is, and,
right.
and sure enough, it's been fun. It's been great.
Oh yeah. So, what exactly do you teach your students besides Adobe and all that in digital media?
And I'm very honest with you guys in this, and you know this. This video production class is just teaching life skills. It's
Right.
teaching you to read. It's teaching you to write. It's teaching you to get stuff done on time. And just like the conversation we had off air, it's teaching you to invest in yourself a little bit more. That's what I want the students to learn. I mean, at the end of the day, if 5 students a year go into video production, like they should erect a statue for me. But all of you have to go get jobs, and you're going to have to read and write and meet the expectations of your employers. So that's my ultimate goal in what I teach.
So, how could your students use like these type of skills in the real? You said they're going to get jobs. Like me personally, I want to get some type of field. I want to have my own podcast such as this one, and just to be involved. Maybe have my own talk show one day. But yeah, how do your students like use these skills, and like how do you think it'll work out for them when it comes to like getting some kind of career?
At the end of the day, I don't care what you guys do. I mean, I really don't. I mean, if you're going to go and be a baker, I hope that some of the stuff that you took from my class in terms of time management and communication plays through. I mean, in your marketing side, we do a lot of personal marketing stuff in here with portfolios and resumes. Ultimately, I want you guys to determine what you want to do. I mean, that's why, we've talked about how in first year there's a lot of me and a little bit of you guys in terms of decisions. And then as you progress to third year, that changes to where I go into facilitating versus teaching. So
Right.
I want you guys to figure out what you want to do and get it done now while it's free, cheap, and easy.
Makes sense. Now, Mr. White, you also teach an animation class. What kind of animation do you teach? Like, what's the type of process that you like teach your students?
Man, I am the worst animation teacher in the world.
Surely not.
Oh, dude. I enjoy it. It's a challenge. Right now they're doing stop motion. This is the first year that I've had third-year students. I've had advanced students in the past. And we get into After Effects. We get into some computer-generated animations, but nothing crazy yet. Not because the kids don't want to. It's just because I don't have those skills yet. So I'm literally learning alongside them a lot of times and trying to be, at least one day ahead of what they want to do. But they're, right now it's first year is a lot of social media. It's getting used to taking pictures and creating some graphics. Second year, we're going to get into a little bit of hand-drawn animation, and then third year, get more CGI stuff.
So, with all of these classes, like with animation, digital media, what made you want to, have different branches and like different type of learning environments when it all comes to like one type of, goal?
I want to take over the world. I want, I want to fill whatever holes are needed, whatever gaps are needed. And that is what I think is most important. That's why I think that, on the digital media side, I mean, it's not going anywhere. It's going to get more and more. And if I can teach you guys to write, create, promote, market yourselves, then I can teach you guys how to be better citizens. So creating the different learning environments, creating those different opportunities is ultimately my goal.
So, Mr. White, alongside all of that, you also have a broadcasting team. What does that exactly cover? What do you do with the broadcasting team itself?
We broadcast sports. That's our primary thing that we do. Obviously, here there's a ton of sports, and I made the joke when I came to work here that from the bass fishing team to the shotgun team, everybody makes state in Morgan County. So right now I have a group of about 5, and we work together, schedule different events. With the current situation, it's a little bit different. But ideally, I mean, I'd like to get 10 to 15 students, and anytime somebody's running or throwing or jumping or what have you, we've got a camera or 5 there to cover it. We work with the University of Georgia. They have a sports media certificate, and this year it will be in the spring. It will be for baseball and soccer, but typically it's for football coverage, and they'll send a crew of students to be air talent to do that. So that really is my favorite. I mean, that's my favorite thing.
Right.
That I can teach more on top of a press box on a Friday night than I can teach a week in the classroom.
What is one of your favorite memories from, being a part of the broadcasting team?
The easy answer is Amari spilling the cooler in the hallway after our first game this year. Amari Gresham, senior. Amari's been with me since day one. So I pick on him a good bit. Last year, or 2 years ago, the state basketball championships. We weren't broadcasting it, but it was great to be able to. I did some stuff in the locker room that we streamed, so it was great to be able to take that from Macon and bring it back to Madison. That's probably my biggest memory. That was my first state championship event. So that was really, really cool.
I really hope we get some, more championship gold and more championship opportunities when it comes to any sport here in Morgan County. Because, not too long ago, our girls for volleyball, they went to state. They got runner-up, which was good.
Dude, and in our classification, for those girls to get runner-up is phenomenal.
It is.
It really is. And just watching, we cover a lot of the middle school stuff now. We've got some Pixelot cameras throughout campus, and seeing what they've got coming down the pipe. It's going to be good volleyball here in Morgan County for a while.
So, also speaking of broadcasting, you run the Georgia Broadcast Video Teachers Facebook page. What does the group do?
So in 2011 or 2012, I don't remember, I was at a training in Savannah, and there were a dozen teachers, and we didn't know each other, and they didn't know each other. It was one of those things where they saw each other, kind of. And I went, well, there's too much stuff, and I was still a new teacher. I was still very green. But I was like, there's too much stuff that I need to learn from these people. So I started the Facebook group during one of the meetings because I was bored to death. And now it's at like 499 members, and they're not all from Georgia, but it's video teachers from around Georgia. There's some from around the nation, and a lot of industry people who kind of peek in to see what's going on in our world. And my hope for the page is that it's a resource, and that's my goal, is that we create content for teachers that help them, and it really is that. It becomes a brag board. On Fridays, there's a lot of news shows up. And then, around awards season, a lot of awards. So it's a really cool thing. And a lot of ideas get shared. It has, on average, about 1,000 interactions a month.
That's great.
So honestly, that's the highlight of my career so far in terms of professional development.
So not only do you run the page, but you have a lot of association with it. Like, what else do you really do when it comes to the page, like with all the interactions?
The biggest thing is I try to keep it positive, and keep it positively real. Occasionally I have to go in and go, hey, I got to pull that down because you're saying something that you can't verify. I can't verify. You're accusing people. But other than that, I just kind of. Every now and then I'll throw something in there to stoke the fire if it gets quiet, but I hope that, and I connect teachers. That's the other thing is, if a teacher says, hey, I'm doing this, but I know somebody else is doing the same thing and they're struggling, I'll connect teachers for that. That's my biggest thing, other than just trying to keep it positive.
So let's lighten up the mood a little bit.
Please.
Mr. White, it's come to my attention that you have a large headphone collection. How many headphones do you really have?
It's not that large. It's vast. Probably 20, 30 pair.
Yet you can't let any of us use them.
You're right. I'm stingy. That's how I have 20 or 30 pair. Because how many phone chargers have you lost this week?
Their two children.
None.
This has been a good week for you then. This has been a very good week for you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, look, that's a good picture. Those are my favorite headphones. They really are.
They have good quality?
No, they're terrible, but they make for great pictures.
Makes
A
sense.
300-pound man wearing kitty cat headphones is always a good time.
Why do you collect headphones? Like, did it ever become a hobby, or was it just like, it just happened?
It just happened. It literally is. I need headphones. I almost bought another pair the other day just because I was going somewhere and needed a pair. There's nothing to it. I have a pair of really good headphones that I've used for several years, but I have a bunch of crap headphones too. So,
do you try to collect a certain kind?
No, and the headphone collection is more tongue in cheek because of that picture.
Wow. You can't forget about the barbecue. You have to ask him about the barbecue.
Adam, you're kind of annoying me right now. You know what? God.
Don't hurt yourself again.
I'm gonna have to let it slide. So, also, Mr. White, you're a part of it seems you like barbecue. It's come to my attention that you oh, I threw the wrong part of the script.
Oh.
Help me out, Adam.
You're a barbecue judge,
Yes.
Mr. White, certified.
I have been.
Talk about that a little bit.
Okay, I've been a certified barbecue judge for about 10 years now. I'm KCBS and GBA certified. KCBS is Kansas City Barbecue Society. GBA is the Georgia Barbecue Association. That too kind of started as a joke. I told my mother-in-law that's what I wanted for Christmas one year, and that's what I've gotten for Christmas every year since. So it was cool. I went to a day-long class. It was a really tough class. I mean, we're talking 10 hours of eating barbecue. It sucked. It was awful. Yeah, I had to waddle all the way home. It was bad. But, you know, I love cooking. And, you know, with my kids love when I cook. My wife loves when I cook. I do a lot of barbecue. I just bought a sous vide, which you have no idea what that is.
No, I do not.
You're going to learn something today. Sous vide is French for under vacuum. And what it is you vacuum pack your vegetables or your meats, whatever, and you cook it in temperature-controlled water. So if you want a medium rare steak, you set it to a certain temperature, and it's going to be medium rare. And so it's like a fancy crock pot, but the food tastes so much better.
So what was the process like, you know, becoming certified? Like,
Man, we just had to eat, and they brought us bad barbecue. That's the thing. Any chef, anyone who cooks will tell you the only way to get really good at it is to eat a lot of really bad food.
right.
And you know, I ate a lot of really bad barbecue over the last all my life. Some of it, I mean, there have been nights where I've spent all day cooking something and get it to dinner table and go,
That's horrible.
let's order a pizza. I mean, you know, there have been nights where I've thrown out entire briskets because it's just inedible. So the process is just cook and eat and take notes and repeat.
Well, it seems like you like to do that in your spare time. Speaking of spare time, like what else do you do in, like, you know, outside of school, like in your free time, Mr. White?
Cooking is the big thing for me. I love to cook. If I'm not cooking, I'm doing something video. I'm doing something sports. You know, visiting other schools, talking with other teachers. I mean, that really is, it's what I do. I hang out with my wife and kids a good bit. My daughter dances ballet. My son plays baseball and runs cross country. So run those things, kind of hang out. But the biggest thing really is that I hang out with my family.
So speaking of your wife, you work here at Morgan County, but your wife works at Jackson. Why is that exactly?
Well, when we got married in 2003 and moved back to Georgia in 2006. And we bought a house near where she was teaching. She was teaching at Alcovey High School, and then she moved to Jackson about 6 years ago to teach there. And I started here about 3 years ago. So I have all of the commute, which is okay because she has to deal with the kids every morning. So
Right.
I'm okay with that. But yeah, she loves it out there. I love it here. There's no reason to really change that.
Speaking of your kids, what school do they go to? Do they go to Morgan County?
No,
or?
they're in Butts County with her. They're both at Henderson Middle School.
Okay.
TJ's in 8th grade, Lila's in 6th, so we're about to have a high schooler.
Oh man, that's
I'm scared.
That's pretty big. And Mr. White, you do so many things. How do you balance all your time with, like, family and work and, like, with your free time? How do you really manage that?
Always work. I mean, just always working on something. You know, for example, send you guys out to do something. I'm going to be working on next period while you guys are working on that. When you come back, we'll work one-on-one. So it's just about using the time. I mean, if you think about, if you go home at the end of the day and watch TV. Well, you watch it for 2 or 3 hours. Well, in 2 or 3 hours, I can get a lot done. And that's kind of how I live my life. It's not that I'm saying I just work, but I try to capitalize on my time, and I don't sleep a lot. I mean, I'm in bed by 10. I'm up by 3:30, 4 o'clock. And then I get a lot of work done at the gym in the morning. You know,
So you just try to manage your time as best as you can in any way possible.
I mean, at the gym's when I respond to emails most. I mean, it's not uncommon for somebody to get an email from me at 5 o'clock in the morning while I'm on the treadmill or whatever. So, and then just, you know, using the tools. You know, a lot of the stuff that I write for, I still write for streamsemester.com. A lot of that stuff I write in my car. I'll use my voice memo and then go back and transcribe it later. And that just helps, you know, maximize that time. I'm in my car 2 hours a day at least. So just maximizing time anywhere I can.
And so earlier you said in your free time you like to eat. You look like you like to eat.
I do.
I look like I like to eat. We clearly like to eat.
We could tear up a buffet.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm not even going to lie. So what is one of your favorite things to cook?
I mean, other than barbecue, obviously steak, potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I try to get fancy, for lack of a better word. Some of my best friends are true legitimate chefs. So, I'll cook something, send them pictures. They send me pictures, and I'm always embarrassed. But, right now I'm on a fish kick. I'm eating a lot of fish, a lot of potatoes because, you got to have potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention I got some new toys over Christmas that I want to play with that make great mashed potatoes.
Oh, man. Well, before we close out the show, Mr. White, we ask our guests all the time, as you know, since you are the teacher of the class we're taking right
Yeah,
now.
I kind of got it.
What do you want to name this episode?
We couldn't find anybody else. I think that's a good one. I'm assuming David is left, right? David is left for lunch, but we could also call it David didn't want to interview me. He was afraid I was going to make fun of him. I haven't made fun of you much.
No, not much.
I've made fun of David a good bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
We can kind of agree he deserves it, though. But doesn't everyone in this class at this point
See,
deserve
David's
some
one of my live broadcast team, so he's afraid that I'm just going to harass him. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to sacrifice the content to make fun of you. I'm going to make fun of you off the air.
Right.
But, no, I like the last picked, yeah, I think that'll work.
Oh, well, hopefully we won't be in the situation again to where we have to rush, 3 days before it.
Well, you know that you have another podcast in 4 days. Next week's another short week.
Oh, no.
And guess what? The week after that,
Another
another
short week.
So,
We got to get on the hall then, it looks like.
yeah. We can have a meeting now if you want and figure out who you're going to interview next.
Do we have a choice? No.
It's not going to be me.
No. It's not.
I'm done. I hate this.
Yeah, I'm sure Adam does too, even especially since I threw a piece of paper at him. Maybe next time it'll be the crutch. Just don't say
I'm glad we
anything
don't
stupid.
pay Adam. Could you imagine if we paid him to just sit there and ask stupid questions?
Oh, he'd love it.
At least I keep my script.
That is true. You are smart enough to keep your script
Shut up.
and land on the bottom of your feet.
Well, with that being said, I hope you all have a great day. This was episode 3 of Unleashed.
Something like that.
Something like that. I can't count. My GPA this time last year was very low, but we're not going to go into that. Hope you all have a great day. Thank you, Mr. White, for coming.
Thank you
And
for
go
having me.
Dogs.